Um, so, mm, do you have any questions?
So how long you been doing the podcast?
Okay, good. I've been doing podcasting since about last August, and I got into it, as I said, because I felt that there needs to be a strong podcast where blind people can come and talk about critical issues
Yep.
In the blindness community. So I started out with a lot of monologues where I would just talk and talk and talk about things. Then from there, guests came. Then from there, I got onto Apple Podcasts on iTunes. Then from there came the radio, where we are today.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you were born blind. So
Right.
you so have you used a cane or a dog, a guide dog your whole life?
Well, both. But mostly I've just used my guide dog. She's retired now and she's 13. So, um, but yeah.
So thank God for the technology with voiceover on Apple and Android TalkBack. So
Oh,
you're able to do this.
oh,
And what?
definitely, definitely. Yes. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Then your computers talk to you now. There's JAWS, like with Apple computers. There's voiceover on that also. So that's pretty good. So
Yeah,
the technology.
I think today in a lot of ways it's a lot easier, and then there's still challenges. There's still a challenge, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially if you know how to use a computer, and then you have to kind of retrain yourself to use the computer with
Mm-hmm.
JAWS, or because it's a completely different world with
Mm.
JAWS or voiceover,
Mm-hmm.
even for your cell phones.
Definitely. And what phone do you have now?
I have an iPhone.
Oh, good. Me too.
Yeah. And that's what I'm on right now. So I set this all up by myself. I needed nobody's help.
Good.
So that was great.
Yeah, the iPhone is really, I think, the best phone for blind people. But there's a lot of phones out there, a lot of phones that I've never tried or never experienced. So, mm-hmm.
I think Android's catching up with the accessibility now. Uh, iPhone kind of took accessibility right from the beginning and built it up. So that's why iPhones are so good for accessibility.
Oh, definitely. But I think that a lot of these other companies will catch up, and a
Oh yeah.
lot of their phones will be just as accessible.
I'm still waiting for that car that drives you around.
What do you think about that? Do you want to buy one of those?
Um, I don't know what happens if there's a failure. You know, it seems like you'd almost need vision if something would go wrong that can control the car.
Well, I am not really sure. Surprisingly, I have never had much of a desire to drive a car. Recently, my brother and I got some electric scooters, some Segway electric scooters. So,
Oh, okay.
I have enough vision for that, and that's a good activity to do, to get out of the house some. I mean, I had a lot of trips planned this year for a much more active year. Um, however, with given the situation, a lot of stuff had to get canceled this year. So this
Yeah.
is just sort of a stay-at-home kind of year, which it's really, I mean, it's tough, but then again, I'm really glad I didn't catch the sickness. And um, my dog needs a lot of care and a lot of attention. So,
Yeah.
it might be kind of one of those. things that's sort of supposed to happen, where this is supposed to be the year that I just stay home and care for her for the time being. So,
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, and they say it may get worse again in the fall. I mean, they can't really predict it yet with the COVID cases until they get a vaccine.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think what's going to happen is I think there will be several waves, and but really, who knows? Um, I think this is something we will have to just deal with in our society now, and
Yeah.
people will just go about their business and live their lives. So, hmm it's all very frustrating, but yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, the issue of a car is it would kind of. I'm not really sure. That strikes me as something that for blind people would start out as like a novelty, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how long that would necessarily last. Um,
I mean, it'd be nice for getting back and forth to work, but I, I myself, I've never driven before,
hmm.
so
And see, I've never driven, but I've never had the desire to drive, nor was it ever an issue in my life. When I was 16, I just wasn't remotely concerned with that.
yeah.
Um, that might sound to you that might sound very strange, but
Well, when I turned 16, I probably could have got my license and I could have drove, but I just felt that it wouldn't be safe if I drove because because I still had a vision problem, and I just didn't want to risk anybody's lives, or I just didn't think I should drive. It was just like a personal opinion for me, or like a personal decision I made on my own.
hmm yeah, yeah. I would rather not get hurt, and I would certainly rather not put other people in danger, and just not be so concerned with that. And I can
Yeah,
take out a scooter. I have enough vision for that. So that's still pretty good. That's still pretty cool.
yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of products like that are similar to scooters, or those hoverboards are popular.
Is that the one where you like lean forward,
Yeah, I think
or,
so. Yeah.
and it just goes automatically?
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah. They supposedly are not going to be selling any more of one of the models or something like that. So, yeah. All very interesting. Do you have family who lives, in other parts of the country apart from Pennsylvania?
No, most of my family lives right here in Pennsylvania, and a little bit in New Jersey. So yeah, but we're all mostly in Pennsylvania.
Well, that's kind of good. Everybody's together in one state.
Yeah,
My family is more spread out. As far north as, well, Connecticut, or basically New Hampshire, and then people in Florida, people in the middle. So it's tough. It can be
yeah,
it can be difficult for many reasons when you're trying to, get together. I mean, that's why there's Zoom, and our society now, we're always connected to the world, so we don't necessarily need to travel as much. But hmm
well, I noticed with the COVID thing, a lot of people were communicating through video chat also, so they weren't
right.
losing touch. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people were more interested in doing video calls just to see the person. I think the audio was not enough, and I think sometimes people need to have that need met of physically seeing someone on a camera. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
I mean, it's probably a lot of different reasons. It's probably a psychological thing. It's probably about human nature. We need to feel like we're around other people like us. I think is what it's about.
Yeah.
So, so so how old are you, by the way?
I just turned 43 in May.
Okay, so yeah, you're and I turn, as a matter of interest, I turn 29 tomorrow. So
Oh wow! Happy birthday.
yeah, thank you. So you're about you're kind of a generation. You're about a generation ahead of me, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we have about 4 minutes left. What are some, if people want to watch your content or learn more about what you do, what are some ways that they could do that?
Well, my YouTube channel is called See It My Way One, as in a number one, or you can just search The Blind Treasure Hunter on YouTube.
Hmm.
And I also have a Facebook page called See It My Way One.
Oh, good. Well, have you thought about getting into podcasting?
Not really. I don't know. I don't know what kind of topics I would cover. You
Hmm.
know, I'm
Hmm.
really into the metal detecting.
That's interesting. Yeah, well, after in a couple minutes, let me send you my content, and you
Okay.
can see some of the interviews and some of the things that I've talked about. I've talked a lot about society and some of the different things that have been going on. After I graduated from university and had to start working and had to start becoming more aware of society and what's going on. So,
Yeah.
it's like, when you're a child, you know, you think that you think one thing, and then when you grow up and you realize that, well, here's the way it really is. So
Yeah.
it's
It's
like
nice to see it. Well,
yeah.
it's nice to see it from somebody else's point of view or somebody else's opinion.
Well, I think my opinion, as I've talked about it, is I think that when you're a child and you grow up being blind, as a child, everybody kind of pities you, and really, it's really sad when you look back and understand it as an adult. Everybody feels bad for you, so they're nice to you all the time. And then when you grow up and you get into university and start working, you have to realize that people
Everybody
stop.
treats you as an adult.
Yeah, and then people stop feeling sorry, and then they just
Yeah.
act however they want to act. So I think that's really tough for blind people to make that transition into being a functioning adult. I think it's really, 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 really difficult for a lot of people. It certainly was for me in a lot of different ways. Getting out of university and starting to figure out what I want to do and having different interesting experiences along the way. It was certainly very, very, very challenging.
And
Now, yes,
well,
yes, go ahead.
that's a pretty big accomplishment making it through university with a loss of eyesight too.
No
So,
kidding. No kidding. I thought I was happy when it was over. It was only there was only 2 days. I only remember 2 days of the university. First day and the last day. Everything else was a blur. Really, really was. Really was.
yeah,
But I'm not going to fault anyone for not going to university. I think a lot of it, my opinion is, I think a lot of it's kind of a waste of money in a lot of ways, because
yeah,
you're learning things that are not necessarily applicable in everyday life. You aren't learning, again, you aren't learning how society really is. You aren't learning how to work. You aren't learning how to earn money, how to take care of yourself. You aren't really learning that. What university is a social experience that you pay for, and then at the end they give you a piece of paper that says you've learned something. That's really
yeah.
what university is. And I think it's interesting that society puts so much emphasis on it, because if you're going to be a horrible worker, luckily we are not. If you're going to be a horrible worker, you could go to university for many years and be a horrifically poor worker, or you could never go to university and work hard your whole life and do a great job and be a great
Yeah.
person. So it goes both ways. So
And they say the markets for trade skills right now, like electricity and heating and
oh
ventilating,
yeah,
construction, because
plumbers.
they force kids to go to college for so many years that
Yeah, we don't have enough of those people. I'm really glad you came in today. Uh, I want to say that you did a great job. I certainly want you to be welcome. And as I like to say, have a good day today and a great day tomorrow.